Hello, this is a review for Activity 3.1.1 Historical Examples of Terrorism Review. The instructions for this activity ask you to answer 2 questions based on your understanding of the lesson. So you have to make sure that you read the prior lesson. You should review the following writing prompts. So these are the questions that are going to be asked. You have these ahead of time, that way you can go back, look for the answers, possibly even write them on a separate Word document so that once you do start the assignment activity by clicking on the start button, you are ready to go. Okay, so the first question asks, what happened to Pan Am Flight 103 and who was responsible for the attack? What were the motives behind the attack? And I'm just going to show you the questions right now, and then we will break them down individually in the next few slides here. All right, the second question asks, what happened during the Munich Olympics in 1972 and who was responsible for the attack? What were the motives behind the attack? So you have to answer each one of these in at least one paragraph. And please remember that one paragraph has, at the minimum, 5 to 7 sentences. Okay, question number 1. What happened to Pan Am Flight 103 and who was responsible for the attack? What were the motives behind the attack? In other words, why did the attack happen? There was a reason. It wasn't that somebody just randomly said, I want to commit this attack. There were actual politically motivated reasons behind these. So look at who was involved. What were the people? Who were their names? What happened? So describe the details of the event. What unfolded, basically. When did it happen? Always include the dates. It's very important to include the dates. And where did it happen? What was the location? What nation was it? What city? What part of a city? Was it at a certain event? And again, you need to make sure you write 5 to 7 sentences for this. Okay, question 2 wants you to answer the following question. What happened during the Munich Olympics in 1972 and who was responsible for the attack? What were the motives behind the attack? In other words, why did the attack happen? Again, these are politically motivated, so make sure that you go back and you look at the lesson. And if you look at let's take a quick peek at the lesson. It breaks up the lesson into each event. It talks about the Munich Olympic Massacre and what happened there. All this is about the Munich Olympic Massacre, and Pan Am Flight 103. It talks about it right here, and it says exactly what the event was, when it happened, and who was responsible, and why the event occurred. So again, make sure you go back and you look at these 2. All right, so let's get back to question number 2. Just like the previous question, make sure that in your paragraph, so remember you have to have one paragraph of 5 to 7 sentences, make sure that you say who was involved. So when you're describing it, describe the people, include names, maybe it's an organization, include the group name. What happened? Describe the details of the event. What happened that day? When did it happen? What were the dates? And again, where did it happen? What was the location? Did it happen in a certain nation, a certain city, at an event? Again, make sure you include all that in your 5 to 7 sentences. Okay, helpful tips for this assignment. Always review and edit your work before you submit it. Make sure that you're checking for punctuation, you don't have any run-on sentences, you don't have any major spelling errors that are going to detract from your teacher reading it and grading it. Again, write 5 to 7 sentences for full credit. 5 to 7 sentences is what makes up a full paragraph. And review lesson 3.1 as I showed you earlier, historical examples of terrorism. I wrote, let's take a look, but we already did. So you know what that looks like. Once you do submit your work and it gets graded, make sure you review your grade. You put time and effort into it, so look at your grade, check for feedback from your teacher. Anything below a 60% you should be redoing, and that is because if you rack up enough scores below a 60%, you're more than likely not going to pass the class, and to pass any class and to be able to take the final exam, you have to have a 60% overall. Also, that is true once all your work is in. For your class to count for the month, you have to have a 60%. Last but not least, and most importantly, contact your teacher for additional help. Thank you very much.